So someone has a negative problem. How do we fix that? Put them in charge. We have someone that needs to get humbled, that needs to learn some humility. How do you do that? Put them in charge. That's what you do. You put them in charge of something that they can't barely handle. And what's interesting is sometimes you get feedback like, wouldn't it be better? Like, let's say Dave has a big ego, and wouldn't it be better just to have a straightforward kind of robust conversation with Dave and say, listen, Dave, I think your ego's a little out of control, and I think you need to humble yourself. Are there instances where that may work? There are. If Dave, in addition to having a big ego, looks at me as a person that he can learn a lot from, and he has a ton of respect for me, and we have a good relationship, and I can approach it in a way that's indirect enough that it doesn't offend him, and I can sit him down, and sometimes you can be direct with someone. If you got a great relationship with someone, if you and I have a great relationship, and I go, hey man, you're letting your ego get the best of you.
If I think you're trying to help me, I'm going to listen to you.
Yep. So there are times that can work. Here's the problem. There are more times where the reason that we have a problem is because the person has a big ego in the first place. That's the whole reason why we have the problem. So when we just point blank tell them, well, we're attacking their ego, they're going to dig in, it's going to get even worse. Okay, so there's one example. What about when we got someone that lacks confidence? And wouldn't it be good if we could just tell them, hey, look, Dave, have more confidence? Guess what? The reason the person doesn't have confidence is because they don't have confidence. Just telling someone to have more confidence is zero effect. Okay, maybe it has 5% effect. Maybe it has an 8% effect. But when I say, hey, Dave, you know what? You lack confidence, so I want you to have more confidence. That's not what we're talking about. When instead I say, hey, Dave, you know what? I've been watching you, and I'm seeing what you're doing. And it seems to me like you got some potential here for real leadership. And what I want to do is I want to assign a couple things to you here. In fact, we got this project that we're working on, and I want you to actually take charge of this. And then Dave, who lacks confidence, says, oh, boss, I'm not really ready for this. I go, hey, look, let me just show you what the project consists of. It's this and this. It's pretty straightforward. I know you've actually already done this. You just haven't been the person with the name on it. Look at it. Look at what oh yeah. You see you can do this? Cool. This is a great place for you to start. Let's knock this thing out of the park. And all of a sudden, Dave does it, and his confidence goes up a little bit, right? It's real. It's real. So the idea that we can just use words, look, it absolutely, hey, can I have a conversation with Dave and say, hey, Dave, you know what? Right now, you might not feel like you're ready, but you're ready. Can that boost his confidence? Yes, it can. I'm not saying that it can't. It can. Can I possibly say, hey, Dave, your ego's out of control, and you need to start being a little bit more humble, and that can work? Yes, it can work. But for the reasons I just gave, there's the more powerful tool is using leadership to teach people. So got a whole section in here on that, building or rebuilding confidence. And by the way, you don't necessarily need to be correcting a problem to use leadership as a instruction tool. You don't need that. You don't need it at all. You can actually use leadership to teach and build just for your team, just to make them better. Like, you don't need to have a problem. I don't need to go to Dave and think, oh, Dave's got a big ego or lacks confidence or a bad attitude to say, now I'm going to put him in charge. No, I want to have an awesome team. So what I'm going to do is put people in charge. I'm going to use leadership to build an awesome team. These are things that counterintuitive answer to a lot of people. I mean, when somebody asks me, hey, I got a person with a bad attitude, and I say, put him in charge. Or someone says, hey, I got a person with a big ego, and I say, put him in charge. Or someone says, hey, I've got a person that lacks confidence, and I say, put him in charge. Counterintuitive every time. But it is absolutely the best tool to educate.
The difference is the leader that actually really cares, that truly cares about his people, is not, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put Jocko in charge just so I can crush his ego. I'm still actually doing it to try to help him out. That's the difference there, as opposed to, watch this, bro. And then I just roll in on Jocko with the big ego because what I really want to do is crush him and assert my authority over him. The leader that actually cares about his people, that really wants the team to be successful, will look and then go, okay, this guy's got a problem. It's a totally understandable problem that most people have. I'm going to use this as a tool to help him be successful. I would like his ego to be put in check as a result, but what I really want is for him to grow and develop, and I'm using the best way to do it. the common denominator amongst the guy that's just growing and evolving and needs more responsibility, and the dude that is out of his head and over, way huge ego is that I still care about both of them. Mm-hmm. And so as a leader, if you're listening to this isn't a punitive tool to destroy your people whose egos are out of control. Mm-hmm. It's a tool to help crush the biggest hindrance this person have to being individually successful and contribute to your team. But as a leader, you need to care about that person and really want him to be successful, knowing that the best tool to do that for him is, all right, bro, you got a big ego. Hey, let's put you in charge of this. You're doing a lot of subtle things and runs, but if your whole thing is, oh, Jocko told me to just pile on this guy until I break him, that's not what this is about.
Yeah, and by the way, it doesn't start off, hey, you got a big ego, I'm gonna put you in charge of this. No. It starts off with, hey, Dave, man, you've been kind of dominating, and you know what? I think you can start stepping up, and I got some stuff here that I think is gonna be easy pie for you. Here's the next project, and Dave grabs it and goes, I got this.
Yeah,
but. As you know, again, this is all explained in detail to the books of how much, what level of project are you going to give? We want it to be enough that we're not crushing them with that project.
Yeah,
right.
Totally. And just for me, it's easy to get wrapped around the idea of fixing this person's problem. But what a good leader really does is looks at all his people, even the ones that are doing all the things that frustrate you, is, hey, I really need help. It's the same thing with my kids. I got my kids doing things that drive me nuts that I want to crush, but I'm actually doing it because I want them to be successful over time, not because I just want to prove the point of overwhelming them with responsibility to their breaking point. You have to know that what you're actually trying to do is make this person get better.
Yeah, and you use this word hindrance, which it's so important to understand that the problem that you're trying to fix, the ego, is the hindrance to why the direct conversation isn't as effective as real world experience. Same thing with someone that lacks confidence. That the problem is the hindrance. When I lack confidence, me being told that my confidence that I should have more isn't enough to propel me past it. Just like when someone tells me I need to be more humble, that's not compelling enough for me to actually get humble because I already think I'm awesome. And when I lack confidence, I don't think I'm good enough. Yeah. So what we need is to actually reinforce with compelling methods how to improve people in this paradigm of problems that they have.
Yeah. And that's why the direct approach almost never works.
Yeah. The amount of people, the amount of relationships that are so strong that this sort of, hey, just going to hit you with the direct feedback is, tiny percentage of relationships.
Yeah. And if your relationship actually is that strong, that problem that you're dealing with would never get to an out of control state anyway. So if you're contemplating the direct approach, it's such a narrow times to use that.
Yeah.